A Trump surrogate just tried to lecture a British host on his own country, and it ended in total humiliation. If you love seeing facts win, hit like and subscribe. Let's watch, and I'll give my 2 cents at the end.
Let's bring into the conversation Scotty Nell-Hughes, US political commentator and journalist. Scotty, very good evening to you. $10 billion in damages for a documentary that didn't even screen in the United States is clearly a laughable bid by the US president to extort money from the BBC, is it not?
Well, with all due respect, what's laughable is you're now actually caring about taxpayer dollars when you've never really screamed about all the misquotes that the BBC has had. This isn't about the dollar amount. It's about accountability and the lack there has been for so long, not only in the Western media, but especially in media outlets like the BBC that do carry a lot of clout, have a lot of power. And the reason why there's such a low trust in the media today is because of institutions like the BBC that have been allowed to get away with just bold-faced lies, misquotes, misinterpretations that ruins people's lives. So it's not necessarily about the amount of money.
This didn't ruin Donald Trump's life, Scotty. And I would put it to you.
It really, but it did. Absolutely. Everything that went into J6.
I put it to you, it had absolutely zero impact whatsoever on anything that Donald Trump has done, including his re-election prospects, which he went on to be re-elected as a result.
First of all, I'm referencing all of the misquotes that the BBC and other media outlets have done that have ruined people's lives.
But he's suing them over this specific one. He is claiming that clip was worth $10 billion US.
Let me tell you something. The J6 did more damage to an American president and their legacy than probably any other interaction that has happened in modern day.
Did it? That one clip was not worth $10 billion.
But that does, absolutely. If you think that just a clip airs one time, you're underestimating the power that the media has today and the internet and being replayed. I guarantee those clips were played over and over and over, or it would not even be on his radar.
He wasn't even aware of it until a year after it went out. That shows how little pickup it had and how little impact it had. The president himself didn't even know about it for a full year.
I'm completely going to disagree with you. Anything that goes on the BBC has a lot of power, I'm going to give them more credit than I guess you do, and that's coming as an American. The BBC holds a lot of clout,
How many people do you think watched that clip in the US, Scotty, before the election?
It doesn't matter about that. It doesn't even matter about
because
that.
That's the lawsuit. The lawsuit it harmed Trump and his re-election prospects. And that surely depends on people having actually seen it.
It's the mouthpiece of the British government, is the BBC, as you've pointed out yourself to the last guest. So if the mouthpiece of the British government...
complete nonsense. It's editorially independent.
No, that's what you just said. You just said the government... that was the debate you just had with the gentleman before me.
I think the government should stand up to Donald Trump's attempts to extort British licensees'
the government
money.
And the BBC weren't the same thing.
The BBC is editorially independent. No, I didn't. That's not the case at all.
You literally just said this, and that's where
Scotty,
somebody has to hold media outlets accountable.
You're going to make yourself look silly because I didn't say that, because I'm not an idiot.
No, you did. You literally just talked about how the BBC, the government needs to stand up on behalf of the BBC, Scotty, that they're one and the same thing, if the BBC gets sued, that the taxpayers would have to pay for it.
Let's be very clear, because you're completely twisting and you're now frankly making things up. What I said is the UK government should stand up for the BBC and British licence fee payers against this attempt to sue them. The BBC and the government are entirely separate organisations. And not for a minute did I suggest otherwise.
Does the BBC get government funding?
No.
Get zero government funding or licensing fees?
Do you know what the BBC is? Do you know how it works? Because you're giving the impression you don't have a clue how it works.
You're giving a lie. No, I know very much how
You seem to
international
think the
media
government funds it, which it doesn't.
And once again, there's a reason why you have British Parliament, members of the British Parliament that are calling for the defunding of the BBC, the government defunding of the BBC. So yes, you do get taxpayer dollars funds, and you even just admitted that if this works, if Donald Trump gets his way,
I'm afraid you fundamentally don't understand how the BBC works. The BBC is funded by a licence fee. It is a national broadcaster. It does not get government funding directly from the government. We're out of time. Thank you very much indeed for coming on. Scotty Nell-Hughes, US political commentator and journalist. Your call's coming in already. Should the BBC back down and cough up? And should the government do more to...
That was painful, but it was also revealing. What we just witnessed wasn't just a misunderstanding about how the BBC is funded. It was a perfect case study in the confidence of ignorance. There is a specific kind of arrogance required to go on international television, sit across from a veteran British journalist and try to lecture him on how his own country's media system works. But Scotty Nell-Hughes didn't do that by accident. She did it because in the MAGA ecosystem, facts are secondary to the narrative. In her world, the media must be the enemy. Therefore, the BBC must be a government mouthpiece. And when Ben Kentish presented her with the objective reality that the BBC is funded by a license fee, is editorially independent, and is frequently criticized by the government itself, she short-circuited. Notice what she did when she ran out of arguments? She tried to gaslight him. She literally tried to tell him what he had said 30 seconds earlier. You literally just said the government needs to stand up for the BBC. He didn't say that. He said the government should defend the institution from a frivolous foreign lawsuit. But she doesn't hear nuance. She only hears government and media in the same sentence, and her programming kicks in. This is the danger of the echo chamber. When you spend years telling your audience that everything outside of your bubble is fake news or state propaganda, you eventually lose the ability to distinguish between a conspiracy theory and a license fee. Donald Trump's $10 billion lawsuit isn't going to win. It's a stunt. But it empowers surrogates like this to go on TV and perform these acts of theatre. The problem is, when the theatre meets reality, they end up looking, as Ben put it, silly. But that's just my take on the psychology behind this train wreck. So, what do you think? Was this just a simple mistake, or is this proof that the MAGA movement has completely lost touch with how the rest of the world operates? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit that like button for more. Thanks for watching.